Howdy, everyone. How are you? Good morning. It's Thursday. It's the second day of school. Getting used to a new schedule. It's interesting. For all of I feel like just like for anybody that is involved either in kids going back to school in whatever form that looks like, the parents, the teachers, the administration, my son, this morning, he goes, I think the counselors are working 18-hour days. I definitely think they're working 18-hour days. So here's to day two. Day one wasn't bad. It was just stressful. And for one of my sons, I think seeing all his friends virtually caused more stress because he's not seeing them in person. So it's challenging, isn't it? So lots of love, grace, understanding, faith and flexibility out there for anyone going through any side of it. Today, though, we're talking about values. And, I love the title of the show, The Be More Successful, because I think to survive in business, you have to have some level of success. And it's always about this constant striving for being more successful. And one of our guiding principles here, and especially with a new project that we've been developing this year, is about empowering shared prosperity for all. And I do believe in that. I believe it's very possible and probable and achievable. But it's a big goal, like it's a big vision. And I was working on some work here, behind the scenes work, and just how do we develop content that's valuable? How do we stay true to the values that we've outlined, and all those things? And I came across this concept of values, and I was thinking about values and thinking about how I see them play out for people. A couple of things, why are values important? Well, they really are the soul. They are that beacon in a business. They can tell a team what to do, what not to do, when to do, how to do. So many indicators can be achieved through values. And we've talked about this week, my favorite definition of a business is a commercial enterprise that can operate without you. But there's that big thing, Tuesday we talked about trust. If you didn't miss the trust episode, go back to Tuesday's episode. And we talked about trust and really being able to let go in our business so that we can have more success in that business. And that brings us into values, because a culture of trust breeds more trust. And a lot of the things that you need to do in order to get from where you are, which is probably working the hustle and grind kind of mindset, which I always feel like just leaves you broke and tired, to get to that place where you can have shared prosperity, where you have prosperity, where your business has prosperity, your employees, your clients, your community, right? That's a bit of that impact and influence that we want to create in our worlds. We've got to, define some boundaries, and values are a boundary in your business, and they can be really impactful. But I see a couple of problems. I see that people have way too many. Right now we have 5. So 5, and this is interesting, and this will prove my point. So I'm walking the walk with you, if you will. We have them all, right? So transformation, compassion and acceptance, empowering and initiative, impact and legacy, collaboration and community. Those are our 5 values. They're too many. Because when I sit here and I think about them, if you had asked me to tell you what our values were without this piece of paper in front of me, I would say transformation, I could say collaboration, right? And that shared prosperity. It really comes down to 3. So I challenge you, if you as the owner of a business cannot remember them all, you have too many. And likely the ones you can't remember aren't as important, or they can be wrapped up into the ones that you can remember. So if that's you, and if your team has a hard time remembering them all, I don't think you need 10. That's really hard to remember, right? And that's like a litany. But the best value statements, the best businesses, the ones that have the clearest vision, can boil it down to 1 or 3. So really, if you look at some of those things, we're kind of jumping ahead and getting into the what do you do. But I want you to understand that this, if you're going to have values in your business, and I don't think you need it at startup, I think it's great if you can do that. Perfect, great. It really starts to be about when you want to grow past yourself. So when you're hiring your first employees, when you're really looking at scaling, then values becomes much more of a necessity, the mission, vision, values. Okay. So really, we don't want them to be too complicated. We don't want them to be words. We want them to be our soul. And so if you're going to be more successful and if you're going to give your business a soul, what can you do? 3 things. So as I just kind of got ahead of myself a little earlier, is simplify. Simplify. If it's 1, great. If it's 3, great. Try to distill it down so that you can say it. When I'm helping people, like even just do the 30-second elevators. If it flows out of your mouth, it's probably good, right? If you stumble when you say it, probably needs some more work, right? There's certain things that our body will tell us, our ability to get the words out will tell us that we should pay attention to. So simplify, simplify, simplify. So like I said, my 5 are going to 3. They're going to transformation, collaboration, and shared prosperity, because it's really what I believe in for business. I believe it's all possible. I believe there's really no bad business idea, maybe not the right model. Like we have to have some modification, like that commercial enterprise part of the definition of business, right? But it's all possible. It's all probable. Chances are we just need to get out of the way of it and really understand that you are building an organism. You are building something that can be organic, that your team can make great decisions if you give them the boundaries to do it. So that's number 1 is simplify. Number 2 is operationalize, meaning what are the 3 behaviors that exhibit transformation? Well, to me, transformation would be constant learning, constant sharing, right? Transformation would also mean thinking big enough, thinking big. You've got to think big if you're going to have a transformation. Otherwise, it's not a transformation. If you think about before and after shows, right? It's a big thing. So thinking big would be a really good way for me to operationalize transformation. But can you see, this is what's so cool about that, is thinking big, I'm loving it, obviously, right? Thinking big works for my clients. It works for myself, and it works for my employees. Like all the stakeholders in my business, if I say thinking big is how we operationalize that value, you can see how it's so easy to internalize. And that's a really key concept there, because just as I said, if you've got more than 3, they're probably too many and you can't remember them and your team can't remember them. If you can internalize them, then people can do that. They can remember them, right? And be really excited about the transformation as it is for my values. The third part is accountability. This, I think, is huge because we have to teach people to live by the values, to operate by the values. So I have one client, it's a Caring Transitions franchise here in Dallas, the North Dallas branch of or franchise of Caring Transitions. So what they do is they're a senior move management company, and awesome service. What they do is fully full turnkey. They will come in, they will sort and organize somebody that's moving from their home into a senior community. They will sort and organize. They will liquidate whatever needs to be liquidated through auctions. They will pack, they will move, and they will unpack and hang up the art as they walk out the door. Really full turnkey. And when we talked about their values, they've got that 3 to 5 range that everybody does. But truly for them, the one that embodies everything is care. Is care. And so as we navigate 2020, which has been fun for everyone, right? The question that we always ask, or that I ask of them, and now they ask of themselves, is if we lead with care, what does that look like in this situation? How do we show care in this situation? It is one of those interesting questions that you can ask yourself, especially if you've got one defining one, or it always just comes back to this one, is asking yourself, how do we show transformation? And in my case, it probably would be, how do I show shared prosperity? How do we lead with a prosperity mindset here? That means generosity to me, why I give away a lot of things, and that's okay. I sell things too, and that's okay, right? So it's just really interesting if you can kind of wrap up the values in this way so that you can operationalize, but also it's your beacon, right? It's that guiding light. I have, even when the decisions are hard, guys, and sometimes they're really hard, when you lead with that value, when you ask yourself that question, it almost never is the wrong decision. It is really quite interesting. And so for my owners that are nervous about having those hard conversations, and more people are than are not, this is a great tool. It is a great thing you can pull out when you feel uncertain, because you can always feel at least you led with your values, right? So a business that has a soul can and will run without you, but you have to give it breath. You have to give it life. You have to support it, and you have to be willing to lead with it. Then your team can follow behind you. And as you teach them how to do this in your absence, they will do it without you. And that is the most amazing thing that can happen in your small business. So that's it for today, guys. If you're watching live, give me a howdy. Let me know that you're watching. If you're catching this on replay, replay works as well. It lets me know that people do see this. And when you're talking to a screen and a camera at 8 o'clock in the morning after a walk and a little, it's always nice to know that somebody's out there listening. If you feel like somebody needs to hear this, please share this message. That would be the greatest compliment in the world, is you sharing it with your community, with your colleagues and your friends. And if you'd like to have live notifications, I believe in the posting at the end is a little quick link, and that will get you signed up to get live notifications for the next time that we go live, which will be next Tuesday. I'm thinking 8 o'clock still works. Hey, Jolene, how are you? I'm thinking 8 o'clock still works on Tuesday, so gives me enough time to grab some breakfast and go pick up a boy. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you're having a great and profitable week. And until the next time, this has been Leslie Hassler with Your Biz Rules Business Coaching, and we're helping you, empowering you for shared prosperity for all. Thanks.